Peria Duncan is the director of Alachua County Court Services, a department dedicated to alternatives to incarceration, including a major focus on behavioral health treatment. The Court Services Continuum collaboratively provides important services to our community by reducing jail bed days and helping to divert offenders, especially those with behavioral health matters, into treatment options. Ms. Duncan has a master's degree in criminal justice, a one-year degree in substance abuse studies, and has extensive training including cognitive behavioral therapy and dialective behavioral therapy and trauma-informed care. Ms. Duncan is a team leader for the Alachua Stepping Up Initiative, is Vice Chair of Justice and Public Safety for the National Association of Counties, and serves on the Executive Board of the Florida Smart Justice Alliance. Welcome, Peria.
Thank you, Mark. Good to see you.
Well, this is your second time on Alachua County Talks, and first time you talked in general about court services, but now we're here to talk about some very specific things that are incredibly exciting that are happening at the county. But before we do that, can you give our viewers just a general feel about the kind of weight and priority that our county commission gives to behavioral health issues?
Yes, I'm really pleased and excited about how much work the Commission does in regards to behavioral health. They have continued to support it through funding, through programming, through advocating initiatives, through collaborations. What they've done is great. It's leadership in the state and nationally to take such a big role, especially with us being rated 50th per capita spending and mental health funding in the United States. So it's very exciting that they have taken such a lead in this role to benefit this county and this community.
You know, it's funny you say we're 50th. I guess that's because in the last 12 months, Mississippi actually passed us. We were 49th, I know, there for a while, and now we're 50th. You know, in addition to having great programs within the county, you mentioned that we do a lot of partnerships and collaboration. Can you tell us about some of the organizations that we work with?
Yes, one of the main organizations we work with is Meridian Behavioral Health Care. We have a lot of grants with them. We do a lot of collaborative work with them to reduce jail bed days, as well as other collaborations to help divert people out of the criminal justice system and into treatment. We work with Partnership for Strong Families. We work with the Community Support Services Department, as well as several others in the community too. NAMI, for example, we really do have a lead in being very collaborative in this community and working with all of our partners.
And NAMI, for those that don't know, is
National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, and they were the lead for our Stepping Up Alachua event recently, and they're very involved in behavioral health in our community.
You know, anyone who's been paying attention lately knows that the County Commission is very involved in this issue, and you are working very closely with them. And one of the things that I think they've made a massive commitment in is in-house education for county employees. And tell us a little bit about the mental health first aid program.
Absolutely, Mark. The commissioners asked the Court Services Department to take on managing and scheduling mental health first aid training for all of the county. So 820 employees of the county under the Board of County Commissioners have now been trained in this 8-hour course. It's a mandatory 8-hour course. This was first started in Australia in 2001. United States has picked it up. They found it to be an evidence-based practice. A lot of good comes out of this. And so the board has like I say, made training available to all the county employees and are now reaching out to the constitutionals, judiciary, municipalities, and others so that they can also have this training that they are supporting and funding this for. So with these funds, we were also able to get 2 in-house trainers in court services so that they're able to be certified to train mental health first aid. And then we also were able to get a staff in the Community Support Services Department trained for those individuals who work with youth. So we do have 3 in-house trainers, and then we use our partners for additional trainers through Meridian and Partnership for Strong Families.
You know, I took the course. I was required, as all other county employees are, and what struck me was I felt like I was pretty savvy about these things, and learned very quickly that that was an illusion. the course was gave you lots of great theory, but I think what impressed me about it was just the practical knowledge about what to do in the event that you're in a situation where someone is having issues. Now, I know that you had a priority of kind of who should be trained, and tell me about the hierarchy of how you decided where to go first.
We decided under the board's direction to work with those staff who work with clients,
Right.
the frontline staff who work with the clients the most. So we try to make sure, for example, court services staff were all trained right away because we are a very client-based department. And then we went that way, working with the departments that have the clients and then the most clients, and then
Sure.
move from there.
Most likely to have direct interaction with the public.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. And then you moved on to just
All the rest of the whole county.
and it's been amazing. How many workshops did it take?
39.
39.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we got 800, I think 821 to be exact, staff trained, and
Out of how many do we have total?
about 821 is
So
we're really close. We're really close. We got almost everybody done. It was very exciting, and people really gave good feedback coming out of the class. They learned a lot, and we're excited to be able to expand this offering further into the county.
You know, you can't underestimate the value of what the board is doing and you are carrying out for the board, because there are so many situations where, you know, the average person is confronted with a situation like this where they have no idea what to do, and your gut instinct of what to do, I learned, at least my gut instinct was, it's not always the right thing. There are some very fundamental techniques that you learn to diffuse a situation and to do what's best for the person who's having these issues. Can you tell me kind of, okay, the board, this was important to the board. It happened, in my mind, incredibly fast. I'm so impressed with how you implemented this so quickly, because that's a lot of logistics, getting that many county employees to be able to take off time and get this training done. So where do we go from here? I know the board has larger aspirations with this program.
Well, I have to give all the credit to my staff. They did a great job arranging all this. We had to make locations available, teachers available, work with people and schedules and all kinds of things. So they did a great job. What we're going to do is we've determined from HR how many new employees we will be getting annually, so we can factor that in. We've already been reaching out to the other constitutional officers and the judiciary and others through a memo through the county manager's office, and we are working right now with our partners to start setting up schedules and start getting it done like we did.
So I think my instructor was from Meridian when I took the course. I don't know if the county people were online yet, the county trainers, but will we be doing the training of new employees in-house? Or
Yeah, it'll be a combination based on logistically setting everything up, so there'll be both combination going on.
And have we gotten any feedback from the constitutionals yet? Do we have
They just turned the memo into the county manager's office and end of last week, so I'm expecting that'll go forward, and then we'll hear back from them, and we're ready to go. That'll be another 1,200 employees right there, and then once we get working on them, we'll be looking into possibly adding other community organizations.
And then do you plan on reaching out to municipal governments?
Absolutely. That's part of the county memo that was drafted last week and sent forward. We want to including all the municipalities.
So you've talked about constitutionals, you've talked about other organizations, library, all of those. Very glad to hear that the cities are involved. What about UF and Santa Fe? Any ideas there?
We are also looking at expanding that offer to them as well. I know that's important to the county manager to include that group as well, and so we're trying to arrange logistics to make that happen as well as part of the plan that we're working on now.
So, Peria, are we unique in doing this? Are other counties in the state or around the United States doing this?
We are very unique. While there is training, mental health first aid training going on nationally and around the state, I don't believe anybody's taken it to this level, at least so far that we've been able to find out. We've reached out, and there are some places that are doing a little bit here and there, but we've not been able to find anybody thus far that has trained their entire county under the Board of County Commissioners.
So we can be proud that
We should be very
we're
proud of
kinda
that. It's
leading the
awesome.
charge here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So Peria, it's an amazing program, amazing numbers of participants. The future plans are really impressive. But can you give us a little more insight on what exactly this will mean, that these people have been trained? What will this mean day to day? What effect might it have? How can it help in these kinds of situations?
Absolutely. It saves lives, they've found, as they go back over the years to see how things have worked with this. They found that it improves mental health for both the person receiving it as well as the person that's giving the mental health first aid to somebody. It reduces stigma, which is really big. It's a stigma oftentimes will prevent people from getting assistance, so it helps in that regard. It's just very important. It also allows people to provide assistance while waiting for professional assistance to come on.
Right.
So it's really got a lot of benefits to it.
The course itself was really great. I walked into this 8-hour course thinking about how much I had to do that day that I should be doing, but I left it really inspired, and I really felt like it had been a practical lesson in what to do. There was a koala bear in the class that was kind of the mascot for the course. And I'm proud to say that I won the koala bear.
Hey, very good.
Because I volunteered to recite what algae meant. And can you tell us about that acronym?
Algae's the mascot's name.
Yep.
But in addition to that, it stands for something. And so A is assess for harm. So tell us, what did you learn regarding assess for harm, Mark?
Well, wait a minute, I'm the interviewer. When you're first facing a situation where someone's behavior is suggesting there's an issue, one of the first things you do is figure out, is this person dangerous to themselves or someone around them? And you make a quick kind of inventory of what's going on, and is there possibility for harm?
Good job.
Thank you.
No wonder you won that, the mascot. And L stands for listen non-judgmentally.
And that one was very good. We did some role playing in the class, and frequently people like me will try to fix things right away, like, oh, you should be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing that, or fix things. And Elle talked about the importance of letting the person tell you what's going on and listening without judgment.
Very good.
Yeah.
And G, give reassurance and information.
Yeah. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Try to make them feel okay. Try to reassure them that what they're going through is not the end of the world. And information can be as simple as, if you're dealing with a fellow employee, to tell them what resources might be available. Just information about how they might be able to receive some assistance.
Very good. And then we have encourage professional help or appropriate help from professional resources.
Sure. And we have so many available in Alachua County. Meridian, in-house, if it's another employee that you're dealing with. We've got the Crisis Center, and we've got, Community Support Services and CAP agencies, and a lot available that you can tell them about.
Absolutely. And then the last E in ALGE is encouraging self-help.
Yeah, there are lots of resources, again, out there where you can encourage something specific to the situation, encourage maybe books or online resources that you have found to be helpful or that you're aware of. So it's all about trying to get good information to them. And obviously if you go all the way back to A, where you're assessing the situation, there are probably times when the best thing to do is just call a professional. or call law enforcement or whatever the appropriate agency is. But that's one of the things that this course gave me was it just gave me a better feel that when I'm in a situation, before things get out of hand, I've learned some skills to try to keep things calm. And it also has shown me that it's okay to say, let's err on the side of being safe here, and let's get professionals here as soon as possible. So
it's a very important training.
How'd I do?
You did very good, Mark. Very good.
Whew. I'm so glad I took the course. And the course itself, you know, it was really well laid out. It's not just a talking head in front of you the whole time. There are all kinds of exercises, all kinds of examples where you're set up and you are challenged to see what you would do given what you've learned. And there was lots of, you know, I mean, it was engaging, it was fun, it was funny. We all made fools of ourselves. It was really, really well done.
It's very worthwhile training to have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So while I've got you here, I don't want to lose the opportunity to tell folks more about court services in general. You know, one of the main things that we do in the county is we keep people from going to jail that don't need to be in jail. So I know you've got pretrial as a huge part of what you do. Tell us what's involved in that.
Pretrial Services has several units in it. We provide pretrial services for the judge at first appearance hearings. So the staff are up interviewing inmates at the jail in the middle of the night. Then they come in and they prepare everything for court for first thing in the morning at 9 o'clock. Then we have our central screening team who follows up with those individuals who were detained at that first appearance to find if there's something more appropriate for them to be out of jail but still being held accountable for public safety.
So you're giving the judge the information he or she needs to determine whether or not this person needs to be incarcerated?
That's correct.
And it streamlines what that process for the judge?
That's correct. It includes criminal histories and living information and other pertinent information regarding the current charge and a slew of other information that the judge needs to make a decision to detain or release at that hearing.
One thing they might do is incarcerate that person. Another thing is to let that person go because they don't think there's a risk. But then I guess the in-between stage would be electronic monitoring.
That's one of many. They could be under pretrial supervision with or without electronic monitoring. We also have the thermal alcohol detection units for alcohol-related offenses, so that is also another service that we will provide to the courts if the courts order that. So it depends. They could also be bonded, or there's several options the judge has, and they can mix and match some of those if they so choose. And
then once the pretrial is done, then you also have some alternatives to sentencing. For example, community service. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have two types of community service. We have the kind that we have places in the community, such as churches and nonprofits, that people can go and do their community service work there. And we also run work crews where we'll take the crews out on specific sites like county parks and keeping them cleaned and maintained and different things. So we have the two different versions that people can work off their hours for the court in our department.
Now, are those all people that are not incarcerated? Or
that's correct.
So this is not a day thing where you're released. I know there is a program like that, but that's not ours.
No, that's not ours.
Okay.
No.
You also handle county probation.
Yes, we have the probation. We also, within that, we have day reporting and our OPUS treatment program that works very closely. And so we have a variety of different things that can happen on probation as well, and that's providing supervision for the court and making sure people are doing what they're supposed to do on probation.
Now, there's a difference between county probation and state probation. What is that difference?
Probation under the county means a person's been sentenced to less than 1 year, and anybody who's sentenced to over 1 year is sentenced to the state system, and so that's a completely separate body of government.
You also mentioned OPUS. Can you tell us what that is?
It doesn't. The OPUS doesn't stand for anything, but it's not an acronym. It's just what they named it back in the day, and they provide some outstanding treatment and assessment for individuals with behavioral health and substance abuse issues. So they work very closely with probation as well as our treatment courts.
Treatment courts. Thank you for that segue. Our treatment courts, I know, are very well renowned in the state and elsewhere. Tell us about the 3 treatment courts.
We have mental health court, drug court, and veterans court. Veterans court is our newest court. We've had that open for a few years now. Like you mentioned, it is renowned. We work collaboratively with Meridian and others, the courts, we're at the jail. It's a very, very good process to be able to divert people out of the jail, basically.
So let's take drug court, for example. Does this interrupt or intervene in the regular process? Do you decide that the factors are correct for someone, so rather than going into the regular court system process, they get transferred?
They have criteria that they have to do to be able to meet, to be able to get into those programs. They don't take the heaviest charges, those sorts of things.
Sure.
So there's a number of factors that have to meet criteria, but that could be in lieu of another type of court process that diverts them into the system. If they successfully complete it, then they're able to move on without that conviction.
So whether drug court, mental health court, or veterans court, there is a criteria that is well thought out and you've learned from experience?
Absolutely. There are standards for drug courts and mental health courts that we follow, and veterans courts. Veterans courts are obviously specific to veterans. They also have peer mentors that assist in the veterans court program. So it's a good opportunity for people to have those options that meet those criteria.
I guess there's a lot of cross-pollination here. I mean, it's not unusual for someone with substance abuse problems to also have mental health issues and possibly be a veteran, for that matter. I heard a statistic once that the largest mental health facility in the United States was the Los Angeles County Jail, or state jail. I don't recall the particulars. So with these treatment courts, we take people that might otherwise just be funneled into the Alachua County Jail, and we find them treatment. I mean, that's so fundamentally important because don't get me wrong, we do a great job, and the sheriff does a great job running the county jail, but it's really not set up to be a treatment facility. So how do these things work? Are they successful? Do they have a better success rate than someone just going to jail?
They are successful. They do very well. It's not a fit for everybody all the time, but in general, there's a lot of success in these programs. People are able to get connected to the resources that they need, get the treatment and assessment that they need, and they're able to proceed after that once they complete it and get it done. So there is a lot of success in these types of treatment courts, and that's why they're very popular across the United States.
I know we also run a program called Metamorphosis. Tell me about that.
Metamorphosis is also a very wonderful program. It's our inpatient program. They provide aftercare. It's a therapeutic community, and so clients can stay there for anywhere from usually 8 months on average, but they could stay as long as a year. But they learn everything there. They do therapy and counseling, and they learn how to be successful on the outside. They help them get work. They help them learn how to do things like cooking and cleaning and gardening. They take care of their entire unit. They work well together. They work as a team. The staff do an outstanding job. It's so appreciated by our community. I've been told several times by clients and others how wonderful. I had one gentleman there for aftercare who just walked right up to me and introduced himself and said, "I want you to know that Metamorphosis saved my life. This place has been so good for me, and I'm just here today to get regrouped and back on the path, and I always know that I can count on them." They have such a good rapport with their clients. I can't speak high enough about Meta or all my programs. The continuum that Court Services has is very unique and something the county should be very, very proud of.
I know the County Commission agrees with that assessment of Court Services and the importance of these programs. Before we leave Metamorphosis, though, how many people are in that facility?
21.
21?
And that's not counting the transition apartments that we have after that. That's part of their step-down program as we prepare them to go back into the community. So typically 21 to 29, including the transition apartments, and co-ed, so it's both for males and females. And it's a licensed program by DCF, and the staff always do a great job on their audits. So.
Is it directly connected to criminal justice? Is this an alternative to incarceration?
For some, but it's not necessarily. You don't have to be criminal related because we get some state funding for this program. So with that, we have to open our doors to others who may not be criminally inclined.
So to take advantage of Metamorphosis, you can just get in touch with Court Services and find out about it and see if...
You could contact us and we can see if that referral would be something that would be appropriate, or if we could refer you to somewhere else.
Right. Well, you know, I know a few years ago, our jail, we built a new pod, actually more than a few years ago. And don't quote me on these numbers, but I think it was built when our average jail population was over 1,000. And latest number I've seen is I've seen as low as below 800 and hovering kind of around 800. So there's been a great impact just in that simple fact. The jail population trend is going down. I want to thank you so much. It is one of the great things about working at the county is the value of programs like this, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
We used to write letters to each other a lot, and it was intimidating to talk to him sometimes because he just seemed so isolated by himself.
She started talking about how she wishes that her life was over and she wishes that she was never born.
So I knew he had depression, but I didn't know it was that far.
Said something to me about killing himself.
Tell somebody, tell an adult, a counselor, parent, whatever.
You have to try and help them get help.
You have to take it seriously. You can't assume that they're just saying it because the risk is too great.
It's a hard situation because you do risk making that person very angry and losing their friendship.
It would have been horrible for me if she never talked to me again, but I'd live with it because I know she'd be alive.
Definitely worth getting help, even if you think you're going to lose a friendship, because it's better to lose the friendship than the actual friend.
Do you think about where you spend your money, where it goes after you spend it, and how that affects your community? Money spent at local and independent businesses stays in your community, and local businesses offer a wide variety of quality services and products. Whatever purchases you make, consider making them at local and independent businesses. When you do, consider it an investment in what you love about your community. Look for the Buy Local North Central Florida logo and visit www.buylocalncf.org.
I've seen a lot of things during my life, more bad things than good. I've lived in a lot of places, but never a home. I don't think anybody cares about me anymore. And now I'm tired. Signed, Brian, age 11. Volunteer in court for an abused child like Brian. Stand up for him so that he'll stand a chance.